It was a cold, silent night in a state-of-the-art genetics laboratory, where the sound of the keyboard was the only noise to break the immense silence. Dr. Lucas Ferreira was in his office, surrounded by piles of data and complex graphs. He had dedicated his entire career to the study of human DNA and its variations, in search of understanding the mysteries that the genetic code still concealed. There was something unsettling in the air, as if something was about to be revealed. But what he didn't know was that this night would be unlike any other. For weeks, his team had been working on an advanced genetic sequencing project, investigating rare mutations and genetic variants in humans that could explain certain rare diseases. However, when one of his assistants, a young researcher called Clara, brought him a set of unusual data, the tension began to grow. It was a nucleotide sequence that didn't fit the bases of any other known human gene. Over several weeks of repeated analysis, Lucas came to a shocking conclusion. The genetic sequence didn't seem to have a terrestrial origin. At first, he thought it might be a laboratory error, an equipment malfunction, or accidental contamination. But when the sequence was compared with genetic data from other species, the answer was clear. It didn't fit with anything from our biology. Something outside the Earth, something that hadn't been recorded before, seemed to be inscribed in our own genes. The discovery generated a wave of bewilderment and fear. Lucas knew that if this information was leaked, he could lose his career and all the credibility he had gained through years of study. But there was something stronger that prevented him from ignoring what he had just discovered. The feeling that he was on the verge of something bigger, something that could change everything we knew about life and the universe. That night, Lucas decided that he would go ahead with his research, despite the risk. He gathered the team together and, in an atmosphere of absolute secrecy, they began to investigate the origin of this mysterious sequence. They scoured ancient documents, historical texts, and even accounts of ancient myths about celestial beings, such as those stories about gods coming from the heavens, visiting Earth, and changing humanity. But what shocked them most was the discovery that in several cultures, there were accounts of beings from the sky that had something in common with the patterns found in DNA. These accounts were not just part of ancient mythologies, but were directly connected to cosmic events and the transformation of civilizations. This led them to a crucial question. Could the genetic sequence discovered be a form of evidence that our own evolution had been influenced by forces from outside the Earth? And if so, what would that mean for our understanding of the universe? Lucas spent sleepless nights defying the conventions of established science and delving deeper into investigations that made him question everything. He knew he was about to make an unprecedented discovery, something that could shake the foundations of biology, history, and the very idea of extraterrestrial life. Amid the pressure and isolation, he remembered the UFO sightings recorded over the years, the unidentified objects that appeared in the sky and moved in ways impossible for any known technology. How could these observations relate to the genetic evidence he now had in hand? And, most importantly, who or what had left this mark on us? As the research progressed, Lucas realized that the discovery was not limited to an isolated genetic anomaly. Each new clue he found seemed to point to something bigger, a story that dated back to ancient times but had been erased or forgotten by time. What began as a simple scientific curiosity soon turned into a tireless quest to decipher a truth buried deep in human history. He teamed up with Dr. Beatriz, a historian specializing in ancient cultures and mythology, who became fascinated by the possibility that these stories about gods and beings from the sky might have some truth to them. Together, they began to analyze the ancient accounts of various civilizations that spoke of encounters with beings from the sky. For many peoples, these entities were not just mythological figures, but had a direct connection to cosmic events and radical changes on Earth, such as the creation of new life forms and the emergence of advanced technologies. Beatriz revealed to Lucas that, in her research, she had found several references to such encounters. The Egyptians spoke of gods who came down from heaven, and the Mesopotamians, with their clay tablets, described beings who didn't belong on Earth, but who possessed advanced knowledge in areas such as mathematics, astronomy, and agriculture. For Beatriz, The similarities between these descriptions and the genetic anomalies that Lucas had found could not be a coincidence. Could it be that these entities were not just myths or legends, but real records of extraterrestrial encounters with humans in the past? Their investigation led them to a series of ancient Sumerian and Egyptian texts, where Lucas and Beatriz found something even more intriguing: a mention of sowing something on Earth. According to the translations, these beings had sown life on Earth, creating a link between the human and the cosmic. Could this be the key to understanding the genetic sequence that Luke had discovered? What really happened in ancient times? And most importantly, did these beings really intervene directly in human evolution? Or could it be that we ourselves are carrying in our genes the legacy of a past that was influenced by extraterrestrial intelligence? The doubt that hung over them deepened with each new piece of information they discovered. But in an unexpected twist, Beatriz found a reference that led them to look to the oceans, a mysterious and little-explored territory that would become the key to the next stage of their journey. Investigating old accounts by sailors, Lucas and Beatriz discovered that the seas had been the scene of equally inexplicable events, with sightings of luminous beings and unusual phenomena in areas of great depth. The ocean, this vast and unexplored territory, seemed to hold secrets that were directly linked to the origin of humanity. The last clue Beatriz found was on an ancient map, hidden in a secret library, which indicated a submerged location at the bottom of the sea, where an apparently artificial geological formation could hold the key to the truth. The connection between the ocean and the beings that could have visited us was beginning to emerge, and Lucas and Beatriz's journey of discovery was about to deepen in an even more mysterious way. As the discovery of a possible alien presence in the depths of the sea took shape, Lucas and Beatriz felt the weight of the truth approaching. The ocean, always seen as a great unexplored frontier, now represented their last hope of finding answers. They knew that the expedition they were planning to investigate the geological formation at the bottom of the sea would be dangerous. The location was remote and the environment treacherous, but the drive for the truth could not be ignored. The team, made up of diving experts and marine scientists, was assembled with the mission of exploring the area. The journey to the region, in a deep corner of the ocean, was marked by tensions. Each member of the team knew they were about to encounter something that would change their lives forever. When they arrived at the location indicated by the map, what they found was a mysterious submerged structure made of unknown material, which appeared to be in perfect condition despite its obvious antiquity. Radar detected a huge electromagnetic anomaly emanating from inside the structure, and the divers were sent for a closer inspection. Inside the formation, an alien device was found. When it was activated, an entity or something resembling an advanced artificial intelligence communicated with the team. The being revealed that its species had visited Earth millennia ago and that, through genetic interventions, it had seeded humanity, leaving a legacy in human genes. The reason for their departure, according to the intelligence, was an enigma, but they had left a message, a clue for the future. This cataclysmic revelation forced them to confront the true nature of humanity and the role it plays in a universe far more vast and complex than they had ever imagined. They had become part of a greater plan, and now the most difficult question lay before them: to reveal or conceal the truth. The hidden structure deep within the ocean, which had initially appeared to be nothing more than a remnant of a distant past, was now the stage for an interaction that transcended human comprehension. The alien device, like a lingering artificial intelligence, had activated in a surprising way. With coded signals and advanced technology that defied human logic, the entity communicated with the scientists through thought waves and electromagnetic pulses. It wasn't a voice, but a presence, something intangible yet powerful, capable of connecting with humans on an almost telepathic level. The intelligence revealed that its species had arrived on Earth at a very remote time, when humanity was still in its early stages of development. It had contributed to the formation of human DNA, inserting information that, in some way, would awaken humanity to its true potential, a potential that was far from being fully explored. However, Their mission on Earth had been interrupted by circumstances that forced them to withdraw, leaving only traces of their existence behind. The explanation the intelligence provided for their departure was vague, mentioning something about a cycle of evolution, which seemed to refer to a stage in Earth's history beyond human reach. Lucas, Beatriz, and the team were in shock. The magnitude of this discovery seemed to stretch beyond any human understanding. They were now confronted with a truth that challenged concepts of origin, evolution, and the very meaning of life. This wasn't just an interaction with alien beings, but proof that humanity had always been connected to otherworldly entities that had influenced its evolution during critical moments in history. What did this mean for the future? Would these entities return, or were they simply observing, waiting for the right moment to interact again? The scientists knew they were faced with a monumental decision. They could reveal this discovery to the world, a secret that would shake the foundations of science, religion, and the very social structure supporting humanity, or they could remain silent and protect the remaining normalcy of the planet. The nature of the interaction, though fascinating, was also an enigma. The alien intelligence, no matter how advanced, seemed reluctant to provide definitive answers. It was as if it was testing humanity, challenging it to take the next step, but without imposing a direct solution. Lucas and Beatriz found themselves in an ethical dilemma, and the responsibility to decide humanity's future rested in their hands. The team returned to the surface, but the weight of their decision hung over them all. The mission had changed everything. Each one of them felt transformed, as if a new perspective had been planted in their minds. The truth about the beings who had visited Earth, about the impact they had on our evolution, and about the complexity of the universe itself, was now irreversible. Society, as we knew it, would have to adjust to this new reality. But the great question remained: was humanity prepared for this revelation, or would this truth destroy the very structure of civilization as we knew it? Back in the laboratory, the scientists were shaken, immersed in the discoveries and messages they had received from the alien intelligence. Each of them was trying to process what had happened in different ways. For Lucas, the fact that he had directly touched something so vast and unknown made him question all the pillars of knowledge he had acquired throughout his life. He thought of the ocean as a reflection of the vastness of the cosmos, an expanse of mysteries to be explored, with enigmas hidden in its depths, waiting to be unraveled. Beatriz, on the other hand, reflected on the connection between the historical and mythological accounts she had studied over the years. The gods who descended from the sky and interacted with humans, the celestial beings described in distant cultures with no communication between them, now took on a new meaning. She believed that humanity's story had never been just our story. There had always been something beyond, something greater, that watched us and intervened, often subtly but fundamentally. The ocean, with its unfathomable mysteries, represented that cosmic unknown, that threshold between what we know and what we still need to discover. Now, with the puzzle pieces starting to fit together, the truth about our origin and our place in the universe seemed closer than ever. However, as the scientists reflected, a new dilemma emerged. How would humanity react to this revelation? Would we be ready to face the truth that we were part of a cosmic experiment, that our evolution was guided by invisible hands? Or would this discovery destroy the foundations of our identity, forcing us to rebuild everything we thought we knew about ourselves? Lucas and Beatriz talked at length about the implications of this discovery. They knew the impact would be irreversible, but they also understood that humanity could find a new purpose from this truth. Would we be able to accept that we are not alone, that we are not the final point of evolution, but merely a step in a much larger plan? Or would we continue to fight to maintain the illusion of our cosmic independence, ignoring the evidence before our eyes? In the end, they understood that the decision was not in their hands. The truth about the beings who influenced our evolution could not be hidden forever. Eventually, humanity would have to confront the fact that it had never been alone and that it had always been part of something much greater. Perhaps the true goal wasn't simply to understand the origin of life, but to accept the role we play in this grand cosmic theater. And so, at the end of their journey, Lucas and Beatriz had one final reflection. If we are just a piece in a much larger cosmic game, what will the next step for humanity be? And, more importantly, are we ready to discover the truth that awaits us? Now, that question echoed in their minds, and they knew that somehow the answer lay not just in knowledge, but in the courage to face the unknown. Who knows? The future might reveal more mysteries, and perhaps one day, humanity would be ready to take the next step. If you also question the truth of the universe and our place in it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more reflections and stories like this one. The journey is just beginning. Share your opinion in the comments, and tell us what you think must exist that we still don't know. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more like it, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. The unknown still has much to teach us.